But why my name, Richard?
Because you're getting on that plane.
I don't understand. What about you?
I'm staying here with him.
Charming smiles, charisma, and looks that could kill. Who are some of the biggest heartbreakers in Hollywood history? Who's broken more hearts than they could count? Let's find out.
And you go out with other women when you love. You go out with other women don't mean shit, right? You go out with other women and they talking.
1. Richard Pryor. The American actor and comedian has gone down in history as one of the best stand-up comedians of all time. Besides that, he's also known as one of Hollywood's most notorious heartbreakers. Could you guess how many times he's been married? Anything below 7 and you'd be wrong. That's right. Richard Pryor was married an astonishing 7 times to 5 different women. How does that work? Well, he remarried Jennifer Lee in 2001 after divorcing her initially in 1982. Likewise, he remarried Flynn Belaine in 1990 after finalizing their divorce just 3 years prior in 1987. Margot Kidder once admitted that she fell in love with Pryor within 2 seconds flat of meeting him. The two dated for a bit in 1982, but ultimately didn't make it to the altar. He dated another high-profile celebrity too, and she doesn't have anything good to say about Pryor. Pam Grier and Pryor met while filming Greased Lightning in 1977 and dated for a few years. She didn't know that the actor was also dating Deborah Maguire, an aspiring actress and model. At the same time as her, most of Pryor's marriages lasted for a little less than 2 years. How long was his shortest marriage? Less than 3 months. The actor later admitted that his failed marriages had a lot to do with his drug addiction. Pryor was able to overcome his substance issues toward the end. That's when he rekindled his long-lost romance with Jennifer Lee. The two remained married for the second time from 2001 till his death in 2005. You'd think it's hard to beat Pryor's record, but this other Hollywood celebrity actually did it. 2. Larry King. The late talk show host and radio personality had a record-breaking 60-year streak in the media. Unfortunately, we can't say the same for his personal life. The shortest of his marriages lasted under a year. He was married 7 times in total, and you wouldn't believe how the talk show host proposed to some of his wives. Julie Alexander, his 6th wife, claimed that King proposed to her on their first date. Deanna Lund claimed that King asked her to marry him within 5 weeks of dating. The two ultimately didn't walk down the aisle, though. Sean Southwick did walk down the aisle to marry King, but it was more like the hospital's hallway. That's right, the late talk show host married Sean while he was on his way to surgery for occluded heart vessels. That was his most successful marriage, actually. Sean even joked that she was the only wife who managed to make it to double digits. But did you know that the pair were estranged at the time of King's death in 2021? That means that the media personality was looking for love even in his late 80s. His health had been rapidly declining, but that didn't stop Larry King from attempting to find his 8th wife. 3. Jerry Lee Lewis. The American singer and songwriter is well regarded as a musical genius. He was one of the best pianists of the 20th century, but he was also a notorious heartbreaker. Just how many times was he married? 7. But that's not what gained him so much infamy. Jerry Lee was apparently so determined to find love and move on that he didn't even wait till divorce proceedings were finalized. Yep, a few of his marriages were actually invalid. He'd get married to another woman while still being married to the first. He married Dorothy Barton at 16 but left her within 20 months to marry Sally Jane. He was still technically married to Dorothy at the time. He did the same thing again, though. In 1957, while he was still married to Sally Jane, he married his first cousin once removed. She left him because she believed Jerry Lee had been unfaithful for the entirety of their marriage. His next wife, Jaron Elizabeth, accused him of the same. Jaron and Jerry were married in 1971 and divorced in 1982. Jaron claimed that Jerry had been cheating on her with Mary Cathy for the last 3 years of his marriage. You know what? Jerry actually admitted to it. He said that he'd been seeing Mary and actually living with her from 1980 till 1983. His 6th marriage lasted the longest for 21 years, and his 7th marriage was to his 3rd wife's former sister-in-law, which lasted until his death in 2022. Wait, what about his 5th wife? Jerry Lee was married to Shawn Stevens for 77 days until her death from an accidental drug overdose. She wasn't the only one of his wives who died, actually. Remember Jar Elizabeth? She drowned before their divorce proceedings could be finalized. Some people actually believe that Jerry Lee had something to do with the mysterious deaths. What do you think? The next heartbreaker on our list broke one of the most beautiful actresses in Hollywood's heart. None other than Angelina Jolie. And it's not Brad Pitt.
My favorite one in a car was today, just before we got here. What is this, MTV?
4. Billy Bob Thornton. Angelina's marriage to Thornton was highly publicized. It was a weird one for the media. That might have had something to do with how they wore vials of each other's blood around their necks. That, however, was his 5th marriage. That's right, Billy Bob Thornton has been married a total of 6 times so far. The first one was to Melissa Lee Gatlin, who accused him of cheating on her for the whole 3 years they'd been married. He found love again with Toni Lawrence, but she accused him of having a wandering eye, too. His second marriage was his shortest one and lasted for less than a year. Cinda Williams stuck it through for 2 years, although she also accused him of adultery when they separated. Do you think he stuck it through with his 4th wife? Nope. Pietra Dawn also accused him of cheating on her and spousal abuse. She accused him of cheating on her with Laura Dern. The two then went public with their relationship, and some people believe they were engaged. Did they make it down the aisle? No, he actually married Angelina Jolie. Again, after cheating on Laura with the actress when they met while filming Pushing Tin. Their marriage ended in divorce 3 years later, and that's when Billy Bob swore he'd never get married again. Do you think he stayed true to his word? In 2014, it was confirmed that he'd gotten married to his longtime girlfriend, Connie England. It looks like this marriage actually lasted, and the pair even welcomed a daughter together in 2003. 5. George Clooney. In 2006, the American actor admitted his longest relationship had been for 18 years. It wasn't with any one of Hollywood's leading ladies, but with Max, a Vietnamese potbelly pig. Yep, Clooney had bought Max as a pet for his first high-profile girlfriend, Kelly Preston, in 1989. The two broke up the same year, and Clooney kept Max for 18 years till his death in 2006. Everyone believed for a long time that no one could beat Max's record. That was before 2014. Yep, that was the year when Clooney met the love of his life, Amal Alamuddin. The British-Lebanese lawyer and the American actor bonded over their shared love for campaigning. The two make for an attractive couple, but here's something you probably didn't know. Clooney had once sworn he'd never get married. The Hollywood heartthrob had been on everyone's radar since he first debuted. Unfortunately, he'd sworn off getting married ever since his marriage to Talia Balsam ended in 1991. Clooney dated several Hollywood women from 1991 until finding Amal in 2014. In that long list of women, we have Kimberly Russell, Celine Balitran, Krista Allen, Lisa Snowden, and Renee Zellweger. One of his exes, Stacy Keibler, revealed the inside scoop on what it was like dating Clooney. Stacy claimed that the Hollywood actor would grow distant from his partners anytime they'd bring up marriage. The actor wasn't looking to settle down anytime soon, and this caused rifts in his relationships. No love lost for Clooney, though, as he'd just date the next leading lady on his list. Speaking of which, do you remember one of his most highly publicized relationships? 2 of them, actually. In 1995, he dated Cameron Diaz, and in 2000, he was linked to Lucy Liu. He'd also been linked to Charlize Theron, but the two have never admitted to their relationship. Clooney was Hollywood's most eligible bachelor for 20 years. It really did seem like he'd never settled down. Then, in came Amal, and things have never been better for the Hollywood A-lister.
Aren't you married?
Well, yeah, but what?
6. Leonardo DiCaprio. The world fell in love with Leo after he starred in 1997's rom-com of the year, Titanic. The world's been following Leo's love life very closely ever since. Everyone's eager to know who'll get the Hollywood heartbreaker to finally settle down. Leo has one rule about dating, though, and everyone's made fun of him for it. He won't date anyone over 25. It's one of Hollywood's open secrets that Leonardo DiCaprio will dump anyone if they turn 25. Of course, one model had him weak in the knees and bending the rules a little bit. We'll get to that in a second. Let's start from the very beginning. Bridget Hall was the first model he'd ever dated, and the relationship ended in 1994. Paul reportedly told friends that Leo just wasn't looking for anything serious. He then moved on with Amber Valletta. They had an interesting story to tell. Apparently, Leo saw Valletta in a magazine and had his people call her agent to set up a date. Both women were under 25, so Leo was true to his word. Actually, there was a 30-year-old he was once linked with, maybe the only one he's ever been linked with, Helena Christensen. The two met up at an after-party for Titanic and shared a brief relationship that's never been publicly acknowledged. What do you think? Next came Bijou Phillips, Eva Herzegovina, Gisele Bündchen, Bar Raffaelli, Anne Violetsina, Blake Lively, and Aaron Heathron. You've probably noticed a pattern here. That's the fact that Leo almost exclusively dates models. The trend continued, and so did his unspoken rule until 2022. That was the year when he met Gigi Hadid. The model was 26 at the time, and Leo broke his coveted rule. However, sources close to the two revealed that he didn't mind bending the rules for her. The two continued their relationship until 2023. That's when Leo's bachelor ways finally caught up to him. Gigi's friends told publications that their relationship was doomed from the start. It had a lot to do with the fact that Leo wasn't ready to part with his partying lifestyle. Gigi, on the other hand, was a mom and wanted someone she could depend on. No love lost for Leo, though. He found love again within a few months with model Vittoria Soretti. Any guesses on how old she is? They started dating when she was 24 and she's 25 now. Maybe this relationship's coming to an end soon, too. 7. Justin Timberlake. The former member of NSYNC is living the good life today with his wife of over 10 years, Jessica Biel, and their 2 kids. Back in the day, though, Justin was known for being a womanizer. His dating track record runs pretty long, and it includes some of the most prominent women in the industry. The first woman he'd ever gone public with caused a media storm. It wasn't just because he was dating Fergie, one of the biggest names in pop. It had something to do with their age gap. Fergie was 23 at the time, and Justin was only 16. Of course, people had less than favorable things to say. Fergie wasn't too concerned, though. She claimed that it was just a test run before Justin found the woman he really loved. She wasn't talking about Jessica back then. In fact, she was talking about Britney Spears. We all know about the drama that unfolded between the two. The singers met as kids when they were on Disney's Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. They rekindled their puppy love in 1999 and dated for 2 years. Nearly 20 years after their split, though, Britney gave everyone an inside scoop on what really happened. She all but claimed that Justin was unfaithful. The pop icon revealed that she was pregnant during their relationship, but Justin wasn't ready to be a father. She also claimed that Justin had a wandering eye. He moved on relatively quickly and dated Jenna Dewan for a while in the early 2000s. Next came Alyssa Milano, but the two agreed to just stay friends. Maybe it was for the best because the charmed actress wanted him to find love with someone else. Yep, she wanted him to get back together with Britney. It was widely reported that Britney always had a soft spot for Justin. The two were linked several times over the years. Rumor has it that they tried to start dating again, but it just never worked out. It might have had something to do with how Justin wasn't ready to settle down. Britney, on the other hand, wanted nothing more than to start a family with him. Justin couldn't make things work with Britney again, and instead moved on with Cameron Diaz. The two dated for 3 years and stayed friends even after their split in 2006. The actress claimed that they weren't ever that serious anyway, which, in hindsight, was a good thing because he met the love of his life the next year. Yep, in 2007, Justin set his sights on Jessica, and it was wedding bells from day one. He's boasted and bragged about his wife over the years to anyone who would listen, and it looked like they had the perfect relationship. Well, trouble started in paradise almost immediately. Remember what Britney said about Justin's wandering eye? Many people believe that he cheated on Jessica while they were dating with Olivia Munn. There was another Olivia that came after that, too. Justin and Olivia Wilde went on a date when he and Jessica were on a break. Wilde, however, has claimed that it was just one date and it wasn't that serious. Just like it wasn't serious between him and Ashley Olsen or Scarlett Johansson. Yep, Justin's been linked with several women even while he was dating Biel. You'd think the rumors stopped once they tied the knot in 2012, but they didn't. Pictures of Justin and Alicia Wainwright holding hands went viral in 2019. It was later reported that they were just friends, but it had everyone looking at Justin differently. Once a ladies' man, always a ladies' man.
Him. 1, 10. Anyone? No one? Have they kissed you with Caesar's lips, touched you with his hands? Has it been his name you...
8. Richard Burton. Cleopatra, Where Eagles Dare. 1984, The Wild Geese. And the list of some of Richard Burton's well-known classics goes on and on. The movie he's most widely remembered for, however, would be one based on his personal life. Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf? Burton was a ladies' man through and through. Today, he's remembered for being the longtime love interest of Elizabeth Taylor, someone he loved so much, in fact, that he married her twice. Their first marriage lasted 10 years from 1964 until the pair called it quits in 1974. At the time, Taylor told the press that she was sure this marriage would last forever. Unfortunately, the pair had a rocky relationship toward the end and decided to call it quits. Surprisingly, the two then announced that they were an item again. This came just 16 months after their divorce was finalized. It seemed like Taylor really meant that their love would last forever. Their second marriage ended in a divorce fairly quickly, just a year after they said, "I do," for the second time. The two continued to have an on-again, off-again relationship for the rest of Burton's life. Burton's wandering eye was a major cause of discontent between the two. Still, he maintained that Taylor was the love of his life. Could you guess how soon after their second divorce he got married again? Just a month. Yep, Burton managed to find love with Susie Miller a month after leaving Taylor. Some believe that he left his longtime lover for Miller. By the way, Miller was actually married at the time the two had started seeing each other. She was married to Formula One racer James Hunt. He wasn't happy about their union, and neither was Taylor. Burton and Susie stayed married until 1982. The actor found love just a few months later again and married Sally Halley until his death in 1984. It's unclear if he cheated on Susie with Sally, but reports suggest he wasn't faithful to her anyway. He was also briefly engaged to Princess Elizabeth of Yugoslavia during one of his off periods from Taylor after their first divorce. Another leading man from old Hollywood who couldn't seem to stay tied down is probably one of the most famous actors of all time. 9. Charlie Chaplin. The English comic actor paved the way for comics of the 21st century. He's widely regarded as one of the greatest comedians of all time, plus one of Hollywood's most famous heartbreakers. Chaplin once famously said that for him, the perfect marriage would be one where he's not fully in love. He also said that it'd be better if his partner loved him fully. This was around the time he got married to 16-year-old Mildred Harris while he was 29. Of course, this was a controversial marriage, and the controversy continued throughout Chaplin's entire career. He was married a total of 4 times and had 10 children. The English actor was also known for having many affairs in his lifetime. His first marriage to Mildred ended after 2 years. Reports suggest that it was because of infidelity, and he continued to cheat on all of his wives. Chaplin had actually cheated on Mildred with Lita Grey. His relationship with Lita was also controversial. She was 15 at the time she was linked to the Hollywood actor. Some reports suggest that Chaplin didn't plan on marrying her. However, she soon got pregnant, and he had no choice but to leave Mildred for Lita. The two got married and had 2 children, but being a family man wasn't in Charlie Chaplin's books. Speaking of books, Lita published a memoir of her marriage. She claimed that their marriage ended because of Chaplin's many affairs. She even had some choice words for him. Lita called Chaplin a human intimacy machine. She claimed that he was obsessed and would seek companionship wherever he could. Eventually, he landed on actress and model Paulette Goddard and left Lita for her. This was his 3rd marriage and lasted relatively longer than the first 2. It didn't mean, though, that Chaplin was being faithful this time. Reports soon emerged that Paulette had enough of Chaplin's affairs and left him in 1942. No love was lost for Chaplin, though. He was the subject of media scrutiny again in 1943 for his 4th wedding. Chaplin was getting married to Una O'Neill, who was 18 at the time, and he was 54. This was Chaplin's longest marriage, which ended when he passed away in 1977. Together, the two had 8 children. Some reports suggest that Chaplin had undocumented children with some of his mistresses. These reports have never been proven, though. It's still widely accepted, though, that Chaplin continued to cheat on Una despite their large family. There's even a book on his wives and many affairs. Maybe we'll get a second volume on another famous Hollywood heartbreaker. 10. Clark Gable. Gable's best remembered for being the leading man in Gone with the Wind. He starred in many romantic films throughout his career. That spilled into his personal life, too. He was married 5 times and had many partners throughout his life. Unlike Chaplin, Gable preferred older women. He was engaged to Franz Dörfler when he was 21. They never made it down the aisle because Gable found someone else. Ironically, it was someone Franz had actually introduced him to. Gable met acting coach Josephine Dillon through Franz. The two sparked a relationship behind his fiancée's back. They soon got married when Gable was 23 and Dillon was 40. Their marriage lasted a couple of years until Gable met Maria Franklin. He left Dillon for Franklin, but the pair had a rocky relationship. She eventually accused him of cheating on her, and the two parted ways in 1939. Maybe it was for the best. He married Carol Lombard 13 days after leaving Franklin. Before that, though, he had a brief affair with Loretta Young. At the time, Young was in a relationship with Spencer Tracy. Tracy himself was still married to Lousy Treadwell at the time. Gable was married to Franklin when he met Young while filming The Call of the Wild. It was believed that the two had a brief affair that produced a child, Judy Lewis. Young reportedly hid her pregnancy from everyone, including Gable. Judy Lewis eventually went to the media announcing he was Gable's only biological daughter. However, that happened long after Gable's death. Gable didn't stay with Young. He found Carol, and the two were devoted to each other until tragedy struck. The two had met initially in 1932 while filming No Man of Her Own. Carol was married to William Powell at the time. The two denied starting any relationship while Carol was married to William, although some reports suggest otherwise. Anyway, they met again in 1936 and formed a relationship according to them. Gable was married to Franklin at the time. This time they admitted that they'd been seeing each other behind his second wife's back. Carol changed Gable for the better. He was faithful to her for the entirety of their marriage. They bought a ranch together, adopted several animals, and would lovingly call each other Ma and Pa. It was a rarity in Hollywood, but it tragically ended. Carol's plane crashed during World War II. Gable reportedly lost 20 pounds and was physically and emotionally devastated. Co-stars remembered he was still a working professional, although he was admittedly never the same. Eventually, Gable found love for the 4th time, Sylvia Ashley. They divorced just 2 years later. Gable married his 5th wife, Kay Spreckles, and the two remained married until his death in 1960.
Self, the luckiest man on the face of the earth.
11. Gary Cooper. The Hollywood actor's marriage to Veronica Balfe was a rarity in the industry. They'd gotten married in 1933 and stayed together until his death in 1961. However, their marriage wasn't as perfect as it seemed. While Cooper stayed married to Balfe, he regularly had affairs. Reports suggest that Balfe and Cooper had an understanding. She believed that as long as he was a devoted father, he could do as he pleased. Cooper was a good father to their daughter, Maria, for a long time. However, in 1951, Balfe had it with Cooper's affairs. She filed for a legal separation that year, and Cooper moved out of the family house. He'd already been having affairs and stayed to live with one of his mistresses. In the end, however, the Hollywood actor came home and reconciled with Balfe in 1954. They stayed together till he passed away in 1961. Still, he continued to cheat on her even then. Cooper's affairs were never hidden. Everyone in the industry knew he had a wandering eye. In 1927, he had a highly publicized relationship with Carla Bow. Although he hadn't met Balfe at the time, many believed that Cooper would marry Carla, but he didn't. It was believed because he met someone else. That someone was Evelyn Brent. Many believed that Cooper would jump from one leading lady to the next for a reason. They believed that he wanted to get a head start in Hollywood. Both Carla and Evelyn helped him secure major roles in the industry. His affair with Lupe Velvez was very publicized, for all the wrong reasons though. Lupe and Cooper had a very intense affair. It was reported that she once chased him with a knife for being unfaithful to her. Lupe, in turn, had many partners and affairs during her lifetime as well. He had affairs with other leading ladies such as Marlene Dietrich, Countess Dorothy de Frasso, and Carole Lombard, although this was before she was married to Gable. Cooper was reportedly faithful to his wife for the first 10 years of their marriage. He cheated on her first with Ingrid Bergman when they met in 1942, then with Patricia Neal in 1948. Cooper was sloppy when keeping his relationship with Neal a secret. It was then that his wife left him and filed for separation. Cooper claimed that he loved Neal and would marry her. That never ended up happening for a major reason. It was then that his wife left him and filed for separation. Cooper claimed that he loved Neal and would marry her. That never ended up happening for a major reason. Neal was reportedly unfaithful to Cooper too. She'd reportedly started an affair herself with Kirk Douglas. This angered Cooper, and Neal reported he assaulted her. She also claimed that she was once pregnant with Cooper's child. However, that pregnancy didn't last. Cooper was formally separated from his wife in 1951 until 1954. He had affairs with Grace Kelly, Lorraine Chanel, and Giselle Pascal during that time. He reconciled with his wife in 1954, but continued having affairs. His last affair ended tragically. He began seeing costume designer Irene Lentz sometime in 1958. Irene went public with their relationship immediately. She claimed that Cooper was the only man she'd ever loved. Cooper's health was deteriorating at the time, however. Irene committed suicide shortly after Cooper's death in 1961. She left a note detailing how much she loved the old Hollywood actor. Irene herself was married at the time of the affair and even at the time of her suicide. Tales from old Hollywood are as crazy as they can get. Nothing's as crazy as this next Heartbreakers love life, though.
I hope he got better dice than me.
For me.
12. Marlon Brando. The Hollywood actor is one of the most prolific actors of all time. Everyone knows about him and the many movies he's acted in. Brando is arguably the best actor the world has ever seen. His personal life is also a spectacle. The Hollywood actor would often boast about being intimate with hundreds of women. Many believed his claim. Brando was known for being a ladies' man through and through. Everyone in the industry knew about his wandering eye. He had affairs with almost all of his co-stars. His first affair was in 1947 with Sandy Campbell. Brando was one of the few Hollywood actors who was openly bisexual. He often told publications that he felt it was one of Hollywood's open secrets. Brando was referring to the fact that every other leading man in Hollywood had homosexual encounters. Brando's relationship with Sandy started on the set of A Streetcar Named Desire. They continued their relationship for the entirety of the filming. Sandy was in a relationship with Donald Wyndham at the time. Donald reportedly knew of their relationship and didn't mind their arrangement. The Hollywood actor also had a long-standing relationship with Marilyn Monroe. He claimed that they'd met while she was married. Their affair lasted until her death. Brando claimed that Marilyn called him a few hours before she passed. He also claimed that their relationship spanned for most of her Hollywood career. He had relationships with Reiko Sato, Dorothy Kilgallen, and Ariane Quinn. Brando met and started an affair with Katie Jurado in 1952. The two met while they were filming Viva Zapata. Brando was already in a relationship with Movida Castaneda at the time. Katie claimed she knew about their relationship but didn't care. At the time, she claimed it was just a date. However, the two started an affair that lasted for many, many years. Their affair even continued when Katie married Ernest Borgnine in 1954. One of the reasons why Ernest and Katie eventually divorced was because of her involvement with Brando. His relationship with Rita Moreno wasn't a happy one. They met in 1954 and the affair ended when Brando broke up with her for Terita Terriipia. Rita claimed that she attempted to take her life when Brando told her he was leaving her. She also claimed that she was pregnant, but the pregnancy was terminated by Brando. Brando then dated both Josanne Mariani and Anna Kashfi at the same time from 1954 until 1957. He even got engaged to Josanne but left her for Anna. Why? Anna revealed she was pregnant and Brando wanted to start a family with her. This didn't mean he didn't continue to cheat on her. In 1959, Kashfi and Brando parted ways after just 2 years of marriage. He then got married to his longtime girlfriend Movita just a few months later. At the time of the affair, she was married to Jack Doyle. Movita left Doyle to be with Brando, but their divorce proceedings were never finalized. Brando and Movita's 1960 marriage was therefore annulled in 1968. They had 2 children together. That's 3 of the 11 children Brando had altogether. He eventually found love again with Tarita, and the 2 got married in 1962. Brando then cheated on her with Cynthia Lynn. Their affair was made public when Brando's daughter, Lisa Lynn, went to the press. He also cheated on Tarita with Jill Banner, and also with someone who lived in the same house as them. Brando had an affair with their housekeeper, Maria Cristina Ruiz. Their long-term affair produced 3 children. Tarita eventually had enough of his affairs and left him in 1972. He never remarried, but continued to have many more affairs till his death in 2004. Make sure you check out some of our other videos while you're here. You wouldn't want to miss the juicy gossip and Hollywood secrets we've compiled just for you.